Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Yashoda Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Srila Srimad Bhagavatam Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Anantakaja Vaishnaviti Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru. All glories to Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today for a change, which is not in other temple maybe, we read from Caitanya Caritamrita, which is a welcome change. You could say there's sweet, sweeter, and sweetest. So Caitanya Caritamrita is definitely among the sweetest categories. Because it deals with the pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What does Caritamrita mean? Does anyone know? Yes? Charita. I checked it. There's one word I found in one verse of the Bhagavatam. Charita means characteristic. So, because there's another book called Caitanya Charita by another author, and obviously it's the same, Charita, Charitamrita. And what does Amrita mean? Nectar. Yes, you all know that. Amrita means nectar. So nectar we can derive from different sources, and there's nothing wrong taking Amrita from Prasada. Absolutely nothing wrong. And so as I said, there's two books. There's one book called Caitanya Charita and Chaitanya Charitamrita. And obviously, because Caitanya Charitamrita deals more extensively with the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, therefore Srila Prabhupada decided, has chosen to give us this book. And what is the original language of Caitanya Charitamrita? It's not Sanskrit? Or Hindi? What is it?
Bengali and Sanskrit.
Yeah, mostly Bengali. But also Prabhupada says Bengali is closest to Sanskrit. Prabhupada says Bengali is closest to Sanskrit. Okay, so Tannamadye Rupa Sanatana Bhata Saka Anupam Jiva Rajendradi Upasaka Tannamadye Rupa Sanatana Bhata Saka Anupam Jiva Rajendradi Upasaka. Please chant.
Anupam Jiva Rajendradi Upasaka. Anupam Jiva Rajendradi Upasaka.
Ladies, please.
Tanramade Rupa Sanatana Parasaka. Anupam Jiva Rajendradi Upasaka.
More ladies, please. Okay. Tanra, within that. Madhye, in the midst of. Rupa Sanatana, the branch known as Rupa Sanatana. Badashaka, the big branch. Anupam, of the name Anupama. Jiva, of the name Jiva. Rajendra Adi, and Rajendra and others. Upashaka, their sub-branches. Translation, among these branches, Rupa and Sanatan were principal. Anupam, Jiva Goswami and others headed by Rajendra were their sub-branches. Purport. In Agora, Ganodesha Deepika, it is said that Srila Jiva Goswami was formerly Vilas Manjari Gopi. From his very childhood, Jiva Goswami was greatly fond of Srimad Bhagavatam. He later came to Navadvip to study Sanskrit, and following in the footsteps of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, he circumambulated the entire Navadvip Dham. After visiting Navadvip Dham, he went to Benares to study Sanskrit under Madhusudan Vachaspati, and after finishing his studies in Benares, he went to Vrindavan and took shelter of his uncles, Shri Rupa and Sanatan. This is described in the Bhakti Ratnakara. As far as our information goes, Srila Jiva Goswami composed and edited at least 25 books. They are all very celebrated and they are listed as follows. Comes the list of the 25 books, please bear with me. Number 1, Harinamamrita Vyakaran. Number 2, Sutra Malika. Number 3, Dhatu Sangraha. Number 4, Krishnarcha Deepika. Number 5, Gopal Virudhavali. Number 6, Rasamrita Shesha. 7, Shri Madhava Mahotsava. 8, Shri Sankalpa Kalpa Vriksha. 9, Bhavarta Suchaka Champu. Number 10, Gopal Tapani Tika. Number 11, a commentary on Brahma Samhita. Number 12, a commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Number 13, a commentary on Ujjvala Nilamani. Number 14, a commentary on Yoga Sara Stava. Number 15, a commentary on the Gayatri Mantra as described in the Agni Purana. Number 16, a description derived from the Padma Purana of the lotus feet of the Lord. So description of the lotus feet of the Lord derived from Padma Purana. Number 17, a description of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Number 18, Gopal Champu in 2 parts. And from 19 to 26, 7 Sandarbhas. The Krama, Tattva, Bhagavat, Paramatma, Krishna, Bhakti, and Priti Sandarbha. Some of them have been presented in English. They exist you can buy them from the BBT. After the disappearance of Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami in Vrindavan, Srila Jiva Goswami became the Acharya of all the Vaishnavas in Bengal, Orissa, and the rest of the world. And it is he who used to guide them in their devotional service in Vrindavan. He established the Radha Damodar Temple, where we had the opportunity to live and retire until the age of 65, when we decided to come to the United States of America. When Jiva Goswami was still present, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami compiled his famous Caitanya Charitamrita. Later, Srila Jiva Goswami inspired Srinivas Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur, and Dukhi Krishnadas to preach Krishna consciousness in Bengal. Jiva Goswami was informed that all the manuscripts that were collected from Vrindavan and sent to Bengal for preaching purposes were plundered near Vishnupura in Bengal. But later he received the information that the books had been recovered. Shri Jiva Goswami awarded the designation Kaviraj to Ramachandra Sena, a disciple of Srinivas Acharya, and his younger brother Govinda. While Jiva Goswami was alive, Srimati Janavi Devi, the pleasure potency of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, went to Vrindavan with a few devotees. Jiva Goswami was very kind to the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the Vaishnavas from Bengal. Whoever sent to Vrindavan, yes, he provided with a residence and prasad. His disciples, Krishnadas Adhikari, listed all the books of the Goswamis in his diary. New paragraph. The Saji's level 3 accusation against Srila Jiva Goswami. This is certainly not congenial with the execution of devotional service. The first accusation concerns a materialist who was very proud of his reputation as a great Sanskrit scholar and approached Sri Rupa and Sanatan to argue with them about the revealed scriptures. Sri Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, not wanting to waste their time, gave him a written statement that he had defeated them in a debate on the revealed scriptures. Taking his paper, the scholar approached Jiva Goswami for a similar certificate of defeat. But Jiva Goswami did not agree to give him one. On the contrary, he argued with him regarding the scriptures and defeated him. Certainly, it was right for Jiva Goswami to stop such a dishonest scholar from advertising that he had defeated Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. But due to their illiteracy, the Sahajya class referred to this incident to accuse Srila Jiva Goswami of deviating from the principle of humility. They do not know, however, that humility and meekness are appropriate when one's own honor is insulted. When Lord Vishnu or the Acharyas are blasphemed, one should not be humble and meek, but must act. One should follow the example given by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya says in his prayer, Chinarapi Sudichaina Tarurapi Sahishnana Amanina Manadina Kirtanya Sadahari. One can chant, we just repeat what we just said. One can chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than a straw in a street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Nevertheless, when the Lord was informed that Nityananda Prabhu was injured by Jagai and Madai, he immediately went to the spot, angry like fire, wanted to kill them. Thus, Lord Chaitanya has explained his verse by the example of his own behavior. One should tolerate insults against oneself. But when there is blasphemy committed against superiors such as other Vaishnavas, one should be neither humble nor meek. One must take proper steps to counteract such blasphemy. This is the duty of a servant of a Guru and Vaishnava. Anyone who understands the principle of eternal servitude to the Guru and Vaishnava will appreciate the action of Sri Jiva Goswami in connection with their so-called scholars' victory over his Gurus, Srila Rupa and Srila Sanatana Goswami. Another story fabricated to defame Srila Jiva Goswami states that after compiling Sri Chaitanya Caritamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami showed the manuscript to Jiva Goswami, who thought that it would hamper his reputation as a big scholar and therefore threw it in a well. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was greatly shocked and he died immediately. Fortunately, this is all what they say. These are all false accusations. Fortunately, a copy of the manuscript of Chaitanya Caritamrita has been kept by a person named Mukunda, and therefore later it was possible to publish the book. This story is another ignominious example of blasphemy against the Guru and Vaishnava. Such a story should never be accepted as authoritative. Next paragraph. According to another accusation, Srila Jiva Goswami did not approve of the principle of the Parakya Ras of Brajdama, and therefore supported Svakya Ras, showing that Radha and Krishna are eternally married. Actually, when Jiva Goswami was alive, some of his followers disliked the Parakya Ras of the gopis. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami, for their spiritual benefit, supported Svakya Ras, for he could understand that Sahajiyas would otherwise exploit the Parakya Ras as they are actually doing at the present. Unfortunately, in Vrindavan and Navadvip, it has become fashionable among Sahajiyas in their debauchery to find an unmarried sexual partner to live with to execute devotional service, and so, it says in Parakya Rasa. I was going to so-called Parakya Rasa. Foreseeing this, Srila Jiva Goswami supported Svakya Ras, and later all the Vaishnava Acharyas also approved of it. Srila Jiva Goswami was never opposed to the transcendental Parakya Ras, nor has any other Vaishnava disapproved of it. Srila Jiva Goswami strictly followed his predecessors Guru and Vaishnavas, Srila Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, and Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami accepted him as one of his instructor gurus. End of the purport.
maybe the translation again. Among these branches, Rupa and Sanatan were principal. Anupam, Srila Jiva Goswami, and others headed by Rajendra were their sub-branches. Namo Vishnu Krishna Vistaya Putale Srimad Bhagavatam Swami Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Pashtachya Deshatayane. So basically the whole purport is about Jiva Goswami. And actually Srila Prabhupada says somewhere else that Jiva Goswami was the biggest philosopher of his time. And this is confirmed here because it says that Jiva Goswami became the Acharya of the older Vaishnava. Acharya means he's the leader because he understands best the total Krishna conscious philosophy. It's not sufficient to understand some part of it. One has to have the overall look of the philosophy, and it says that the actual truth about religion is hidden in the heart of the Acharya like that. So anyway, before this computer goes out here, I just wanted to show you this letter by Srila Prabhupada. This is a letter, you may not be aware of it, which was written on the 31st of December 1975, and it is addressed to Madhudvisa Prabhu. Just to give you a look from a distance, I'm going to read it for you. My dear, who is Madhudvisa Prabhu? Madhudvisa Prabhu, you know him? Have you heard about him? He used to be the GBC, he used to, with other words, he was probably, you could say, Prabhupada's lieutenant for Australia. That was before Hari Sori, I believe, right? Yeah, before Hari Sori. And here's a letter. My dear Madhudvisa Maharaj, please accept my blessing. Thank you for your nice invitation card. Thousands of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu temples may be established all over Australia so that I may receive one invitation card at least every month. Physical health does not allow me to move very much, but my mind is absorbed in thinking of you with the blessings of Krishna. I hope this letter finds you well. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So, we can see here that Prabhupada has got a very positive, he sees a very positive future for Australia. And Srila Prabhupada himself, when he visited it was a monastery in Melbourne, and later on he said that they applauded for 10 minutes. Prabhupada was so well received because Prabhupada is not dogmatic. He could explain things very nicely. Prabhupada also said, I'm so glad I never attacked Lord Jesus Christ, because Lord Jesus Christ is a great prophet and he's a great representative of Krishna consciousness. So, and Srila Prabhupada could also understand often when I'm on the air, first of all, I explain to people, you may know, may not know, that the word Christ comes from Christo. Christ, and this is actually, in this instance, Prabhupada explained it, and he also explained it in a conversation in Germany with another monk, Benedictine monk. He explained. So that's very important because people don't realize they think in terms of, in boxes like this, but we have to tell them that there's a direct etymological relation between Christ and Krishna. So Christ comes from Christo, that is Greek, and then Prabhupada says Christo comes from a deformation of the Sanskrit, something like Krishna, and that deformation from the Sanskrit Krishna obviously comes from Krishna. So there's a direct relationship. So that when we say this to people, it already opens their horizon, about Krishna consciousness. So whatever we say, I said this before, is a mantra, and therefore we have to be careful what we say. Just like I was saying in two previous lectures, in the lecture before the last, I was saying Krishna consciousness only 5 principles. And what are they? I said this last time. Very good, thank you. First, and then? Sorry, Prabhu, not what I was expecting. But it's a good answer. Thank you so much.
No certification?
Sorry?
No certification?
I can't.
Importification? No.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. The foreign. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Please.
Enabling and
Yeah. So that's only 3. What's the 4th?
No eating. No mating.
Thank you. No, and what? No, not eating. What else?
No mating.
What else not eating? That's not enough. Fish and no eggs. Yeah. And also, but that's not really part when you get initiated. Prabhupada never said that. No onion, no garlic. And recently, Mataji in Brisbane, she gave a whole class on that. It's very technical. There's another devotee. What's his name? He also explains what is. He explains Amarendra. He's from Boston or something. Yeah, Boston. He's very nice. He speaks very nicely, and he explains all these things. He's got an Indian body. He's very nice. So he explains many things, and he also explains why no onion. But that is not so important, not so important. Basically, okay, getting back to my point. So in my last class, I said I increased to 6. What was it? What was number 6? Can anyone remember? I just remember now. I would say you have to do some service. You have to do some practical service for Lord Chaitanya's mission. Very important. And today I'm going to increase it to 7. Who guesses what is number 7? That's a very important principle. We ought to applaud you, no? We do. But anyway, this is not what I was thinking about. I was thinking about going to Mongol Arti. And here in New Govardhana, you don't seem to have a problem with that. This morning, there were at least 40 people, right? It was full. So you don't seem to have a problem with that. And you're totally commendable for that. It's very, very, very important. By the way, that brings to mind that you have to be very careful with marble floors, because the marble floor is a thief. He steals your energy in a form of heat. And this is physics, and Prabhu will say this is also Vastu, right? It is Vastu. And he said to me yesterday that he's being consulted, and he goes around and flies around and tells people, look, your marble floor is, well, the marble floor is not bad, but the touching of the body, the direct touching of the body with the marble floor, very bad. So you have to counteract. For every action, there's a counteraction. This is very serious, because it will, maybe when you get old, you will feel maybe pain or whatever. So please avoid direct contact with the marble floor with your body, because a marble floor is a thief. It steals the heat from your body, and you can never, some things are impossible in life. And this is one of the things, you can never satisfy a marble floor with your body heat. Even you put 100 people in it. But the sun can, right? Sometimes you come in the afternoon, it is warm. So that's different. But if it's cold, and what I'm trying to say is, it's not a status symbol when some devotees stand on mats. It's a health measure. It's a health measure. So please be careful. Please be careful. And also in some temples, they just put some straw mats. Carpet is not so good, because carpets gets dirty. I remember in Vrindavan we had carpets, and when you move the carpets, then there's so much dust comes out of it. But mats in Brisbane also have mats. Straw mats. So anyway, please, if for your own health, please avoid direct contact with your body with a marble floor. That's basically what I wanted to say a long time ago. So I've been actually going through, as usual, I look at the different, I look at the whole chapter. And funnily enough, one of the first points here that comes up in this chapter, first of all, the introduction is only one line. Usually, you can get long introductions. Have you noticed? In the Chaitanya Caritamrita or in any book, you can get a long introduction. Let's see what's the introduction to chapter 8 here. That's so, see, this is like 20 pages here. 20 lines. And here, there's only one line of introduction.
and it is very short. It simply says this chapter describes the branches of the tree named Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So from that, obviously, we conclude this is one of the most important chapters as far as description of the different trees and branches, because it's the tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, and we all know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the inaugurator of the Sankirtan movement, and he has set an example. And this is also why this book is called Caitanya Caritamrita, because it shows the nectarian pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there's many quite miraculous description of things that happen that we cannot even imagine. Just like he showed that sometimes he showed his Varaha form to one of the devotees, etc., etc. Also, I remember sometime, I haven't read this for a long time, he planted mango trees, and the mango trees would come immediately just to feed the devotees after Kirtan, you know. So many things. But the main point is simply Lord Chaitanya's activities, his meeting with the Nitai, Nityananda, and there is a movie which is approved by Srila Prabhupada. The first part is called Nimai of Nadia. Nimai of Nadia. Have you heard about this? Have you heard? You have heard? You have seen, yeah. Also got a copy somewhere. It's Prabhupada liked it, Prabhupada approved it, and it's very nice. It's typically Indian, and it's very polite and sweet, and it shows the different pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially when it chant Kasi. So, Nimai of Nadia, and the second one is called, does anyone know? Yeah, Nilachala Mahaprabhu. What is Nilachala? Yeah, is another name for Jagannath Puri. So Nilachala Mahaprabhu, and that is also very sweet, and it shows also some of the so-called madness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sometimes they used to lock him up behind the doors, and in the morning he was just gone. You can't lock up the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they tried to lock him up, but he was just gone. And one time also he was lost in the ocean, and they brought him back. All kinds of seemingly mad things, because when you actually fall in love with someone, sometimes you do some mad things. It's a fact, you do some mad things. If you've ever been in love with someone, yeah, sometimes you do some mad things to express your love. So we're all supposed to reawaken our love for Krishna. So there is this wonderful address by Srila Prabhupada. I always like that very much. And it's, I just found out it's in the Reservoir of Pleasure. I think so. Or, yeah, in one of these small pamphlets. And you may know it. It's Prabhupada. It says things like, Krishna consciousness is not an artificial position on the mind. Prabhupada is such an expert communicator. In a few words, he gives you the whole essence. So if we hear attentively, then these things will stick in our minds. That's what Prabhupada basically say. I also say this to people who buy the books. You just read one, like the Bhagavad Gita, you just read one verse in the morning, and Prabhupada also says like that. And then during the day it comes back to you, and you think about it. And this is what self-realization is all about. Self-realization is just to hear, and to think, and to consider, and to realize, oh yeah, that's exactly what it means. That's it. I just realized it. That's self-realization. It's as simple as that. Also, another thing what came to my mind, Prabhupada said, what is advancement? What's an advanced devotee? What is an advanced devotee? Can anyone say?
One who sees Krishna everywhere.
That's a very good answer. That's a very good answer. And Prabhupada simply says, someone who accepts Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, truly in his heart, he's an advanced person. He's an advanced devotee. So it's very simple. Huh? You're all advanced devotees. You come in every day, and you come and worship the wonderful forms, the wonderful Archa Vigraha of Gaurnitai, Radha Govardhana. By the way, I just realized the other day, another name for Radharani is Gandharvika. Gandharvika is also in one of the books, so you can chant Gandharvika Giridhari or Radha Giridhari, but Gandharvika is a very nice name. All these names are so nice. And then you also have Krishna Balaram and Giri Govardhan. And look at the colors, so nice colors. So Srila Prabhupada was so kind. He instituted this deity worship, and simply so that we can come and Prabhupada says, simply watching, simply looking at the deities, that is meditation. In Brisbane also I noticed some Indian gentlemen or ladies, they just come to the temple and they just sit and watch. But that's perfect. It's not that they're inactive, or they just come and sit and watch. In Brisbane it's different atmosphere because mostly it's Indian gentlemen and ladies, mostly they wear saris, etc., whereas here it's a little different. So, well, the Western influence is very strong, but it's better to, especially for the ladies, to cover their body more than just, the, what do you call it? The skin tight stuff, which you wear in a gym or whatever, the active wear. Yeah, that's what they call it, active wear. It's better to please cover the body, perhaps in a sari. It's just better. Also, you have to have mercy on the men too, because the men are also trying to become Krishna conscious, and if you try to attract their attention on these things, it's a distraction. Of course, in one sense, it's a distraction, but it also makes the men strong, because if the men control their minds, and then they become also strong. But anyway, so that is another point I wanted to say. So we're getting back to the first verse, and one of the first things that came up is about dogs. And I had personally also, that came to my mind, I had personally an experience with a dog, and I wrote it on my website. I forget the name of it. It was a beach actually. And that was when the temple was still in Graceville, and I used to go out, maybe with someone or not, and whenever the dog came to hear the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Guess what the dog did? Guess. Have a guess. Huh? Exactly. Yes, that's what he did. He laid on his belly and he put his forward feet like this and the back like this, and he always did it. She always did it. Never failed to do. I was just so amazed, and I said to the owner, perhaps she's a fallen devotee, because she did something wrong in her past life. She had to accept the body of a dog. But she remembered, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So she paid obeisances to the holy name. It's a true story. It happened to me. And also there's so many other, there's also Giriraj Maharaj, also he wrote a nice example about always remaining in a dog. He said, of course, of Srila Prabhupada, but generally speaking, remaining in a dog, the surrendered dog of the spiritual master. And that's why sometimes we say that's why we have these beads, But the idea being, what's the main quality of the dogs? Faithfulness, yeah. Faithfulness, that's most important. If someone, I just read it again very recently, if someone like maybe the relatives of the spiritual master may consider the spiritual master as an ordinary person, right? Relatives, he's my dad, he's my brother, or my sister, my brother, Pishima, right? Pishima was Prabhupada's sister. And sometimes she used to cook for Prabhupada, and sometimes Prabhupada knew that by eating he would get sick, but Prabhupada still ate it. Wow! Can you believe it? Prabhupada was so surrendered. Prabhupada knew that if he was going to eat his sister's preparation, then he would get sick, and he just ate it anyway. And sometimes there were some heavy tensions between Prabhupada's disciples and maybe Yamuna, and they had to kind of make sure the ingredients were well kept or whatever, with heavy tensions. But anyway, so
the point was that, Giriraj Maharaj's article, he also said, always remain Srila Prabhupada's dog. So he had this attitude of faithfulness. Yeah, my point was the relatives of the spiritual master, they may consider him an ordinary man. But if a disciple considers the spiritual master as an ordinary man, he's so to say lost. He's lost. Because, and then we get back to what kind of honor the spiritual master should be given, huh? And that's very straightforward. That's very straightforward. That's stanza 7 of Gurvastaka. Can anyone say? Shakshadari tvena samasta shastra uktasata bhavyata eva sadhi kintu prabhoya priya eva tasya bhakti guru shri chanaravindam. So Shakshat means directly. The spiritual master is a direct representative of Krishna, and therefore we should honor him as much as Krishna. See? So that is the etiquette, that is proper etiquette. If we fail etiquette, it's not so good. So that is the position of the spiritual master. And Prabhupada said in that passage, I was quoting that passage, if a disciple considers his spiritual master as an ordinary person, he's not going to go anywhere. He's not going to go anywhere. Because the spiritual master is especially empowered. Prabhupada gave the example of the viceroy, you know. Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada had good estimation of the English people. Any English people here? No? But anyways, some of our listeners may be English. But yeah, Prabhupada liked the English very much. He also said, to be a preacher, one has to have the courage of an English soldier. He says 2 things. What is the second thing? You know Prabhu, Krishna Kirtan Prabhu, you know. Huh? Yes. John. You have to have the heart of a Bengali mother. Big-hearted. Because, you know, preaching can be quiet, wild business. Sometimes it looks unrewarding. So you always have to keep Bhagavad Gita in mind. For example, there's one nice verse in the Bhagavad Gita. What does it say? It says, fight for the sake of fighting. Do not consider happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat. Just fight for the sake of fighting, and by doing so, you will never commit incur sinful reactions, yes. Because that's a very important point. Because we have the possibility to work and to fight in our daily lives. So we do the very best what we can. But the result is not within our power. That's the idea. The result is not within our power. And yoga means to not be affected by the result. Whether the result is positive or negative or no result, we're not affected. We keep on doing our work. And this is the example of Srila Prabhupada. When he went to America, you know, in the beginning, he did not even know whether he should turn left or turn right. By the way, when I went to Philadelphia, or maybe we had to stop in Boston, you can see from the airplane turns like this, and you can see the pier where Srila Prabhupada debarked. And point being, Srila Prabhupada did not know. And also he thought that as soon as I'm gonna tell them about the 4 regulative principle, they're gonna say, go home. But Prabhupada knew, this is what we can see from Srila Prabhupada, he had this determination. And the Bhagavad Gita also tells about determination in the different modes of nature. Can anyone say? I can't say. We would have to get a Bhagavad Gita and look. So we get back to the other point. Going to Mogladi. And why is it so important to go to Mogladi? Because if we want to overcome the modes of material nature, that's exactly what we have to do. Go to Mogladi. And what is another name of Arjuna?
Yes? No, what is another name of Arjuna? So I heard it. It's what I'm trying to say is, yeah, we have to conquer sleep. And what's Arjuna's name in Hyderabad? Gudakesha. Yeah. Gudakesha, conqueror of sleep. Sleep, I just saw recently, sleep is also called the python of sleep. What is the Sanskrit word for python? We just had a big one the other day, right here. And guess what? There's more bats in the tree. That means the python food is assured. He's got no problem. There's more bats in the tree. More bats. When you walk in the morning, the bats just run. The bats just goes away. So it means for the python, there's no problem. So it's called Ajagara Vritti. The python is called Ajagara, and Vritti means the style of life of a python. And Prabhupada says this can be very good for preaching purposes, right? Because, for example, we mostly, as we're supposed to be Brahmins, so that's another good point. What is the business of a Brahmin? He's got 6 businesses. The Brahmin has got 6 businesses. What are they? It's a good answer, Mataji, but not what I'm looking for. He's got 6 businesses. Yes. Whoa. Second good answer. Whoa. Yeah. Yajan and Yajan, what does that mean?
Performing sacrifice and...
Yeah, worship, yes. It means the Brahmin is expert in worshipping Krishna. And in one passage, Prabhupada even says, worshipping the demigods. He writes it, Prabhupada writes it, worshipping the demigods. But mostly Vishnu. But sometimes also they worship. Even in our line, it's okay to worship the demigods if the purpose is Krishna. Just like the gopis worship the demigods because they wanted something from Krishna. So that's okay if the ultimate purpose is Krishna. But to simply worship the demigods is not a very intelligent thing. Not very intelligent. Okay, to get back to the point is, so he worships, and then what does he do? All the 6 are related 2 by 2, right? They're related 2 by 2, so he practices the worship, and what does he do?
He teaches it.
Yes, again, he's right. He teaches the worship. He worships and he teaches the worship. So that's the first couple. What about the second couple, Prabhu? You get 20 out of 20 here. So what is the second one? Oh yeah, okay. He becomes learned. Again, it's called Patan. Patan and Patan. He becomes learned. So that's the main business of the Brahmana, is to become learned. Not only learn, there's 2 things. There's Gyan and Vigyan, right? We collect knowledge. As far as we are concerned, our Shastra is Prabhupada Shastra. Prabhupada Vani. It's called Prabhupada Vani. That's our Shastra. And Prabhupada is not a small, Prabhupada said we're not a small snake. In Bombay, when he was fighting with Mr. Nair, he said, we are not garden snakes. What I'm trying to say is Prabhupada is very, very great. He can give us enough knowledge and more than what we can handle. That's the point. He can give us more knowledge than what we can handle. So Prabhupada can accommodate. That's why it says it's a house to accommodate the whole world. ISKCON is a house to accommodate the whole world, because Srila Prabhupada is so great. His knowledge, his realization, he's the biggest acharya on the horizon of the last 2,000 years maybe. He's such a towering figure. You understand what I'm saying? So to take shelter of Prabhupada is like taking shelter of a guru with unlimited benefit. In the Kami world they say friends with benefits, but here you take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, you get a guru with unlimited benefits. Huh? Why not take such a guru? And it's not that only Prabhupada's Diksha disciples are Prabhupada disciples. Everyone who comes to ISKCON is a Prabhupada disciple. It's just first generation, second generation, third generation. I think there's even fourth generation around now. So yeah, life goes on, but still, as long as we have Prabhupada Vani untouched, therefore as long as we have Prabhupada's Vani untouched, then we have access to Prabhupada, and therefore our path to liberation is open. And I was talking the other day to the Ekanath Prabhu. He's the head of Bhaktivedanta Archives, and he said that the best way to keep Prabhupada's Vani, his words, is in the books. It's not on a computer, because he said computer can be changed so easily, but to print them on acid-free paper. That's the statement of an expert devotee. That's the statement who deals with Prabhupada legacy, and that's his verdict. So just see, we're getting back to the books. All this so-called electronic and stuff, we don't know how long this is gonna last. We don't know. So better, yeah, books. So also, yeah, if you can, try to distribute books. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, whomever you meet, and we have to take this literally. Always have maybe 1 or 2 books available, and you just offer them. Here in Australia, when I distribute books, it's good to have a freebie, because a freebie is standard in Australia, because Australia is what it is. You always get a freebie. You get a free pen, you get a free jab, and you get everything for free. Not everything, but you get a freebie. So I personally think we should also have a freebie. So like Reservoir of Pleasure, we can sell it for $2, but we can also give it away for free. Yeah, just to keep in line with Australian standards. I'm supposed to stop now, and there's hardly any time for questions. Any quick questions? Yes?
You quoted Prabhupada saying that Jiva Goswami was the biggest philosopher of his time. I'm just wondering what exactly is meant by that, biggest philosopher?
Well, he had the best brain, Prabhu, and he had the best brain, and he could understand the philosophy the best, and it's confirmed in the text. He says he became the Acharya. Acharya means he's a leader. Means all other devotees, when they have problems, when they don't understand, they go and ask him. And his verdict is generally accepted once it's established. He's the Acharya, he knows, he understands, he has got the overall view of the whole thing. That's what it is. Is that okay?
I think you wrote the most books.
Huh?
You wrote the most books. He's the most prolific writer.
25 books.
4,000 verses.
400,000.
Yeah. 25, maybe more, but Prabhupada gives 25 books. Prabhupada wrote 80, you can say. It's a matter of presentation, you know. In the old days, Srimad Bhagavatam was 30 volumes. Now it is only 18, you know, so you can juggle around like that. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.